right? He made an attempt. An attempt was made. With Trump, there was
So
fucking
can
nothing.
you, if you'd be so kind, could you quickly Google countries with the largest oil reserves in the world, and then
Yeah, I already saw that graphic.
if you
I'll
see a
show.
pattern,
I'll show our
just
viewers.
ask. Yeah,
Worldometer sounds like a fun site to visit, so I'll go ahead and click on that.
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, it's Venezuela's the
Oh, look at
biggest.
that. The country with the world's let's take a look. Wait. Let's go through the top 10 and ask, you know, invasion, puppet regime, or enemy. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I guess we'll do the numbered list for that. It's a little bit more boring, but sure. If I want to go back. Saudi's definitely puppets. Canada, not quite a puppet, but then it seems like, because I saw.
You're literally trying to take us over.
I saw Carney's statement on the Venezuelan invasion. It was almost conciliatory, and I feel like Carney knows he can't piss us off. So it's like semi-puppet. Iran, not a puppet, but under sanctions, strict control.
Enemy.
Iran is obvious. Kuwait is obvious. UAE, semi-ally. Russia, sanctions. We don't like. But Putin was friends with Russia. Or excuse me, Trump was friends with Russia. Libya, gee, I wonder why we got involved there. And then Nigeria, which just had a missile response. So, yeah, we're involved in all that.
Are you noticing any pattern?
When we get involved overseas, I have actually said that the national interest includes continuous access to goods. I'm very transparent about that fact when it comes to America. Of course, goods include oil. We need to fuel our SUVs. I have said that the national interest is the family piling into the SUV to take the national park trip to Yellowstone to have a family picnic, right? They have to be able to do that. Otherwise, the politicians are failing us. So, of course, the U.S. has an oil interest. I'm not denying that. What I am saying is that we used to be better.
And by the way, a ton of these countries would give you all you'd have to do is just, develop them and give them a good trade.
Well,
instead of,
It's funny, because I hung out on American Lives tonight listening to the reactions. Some MAGA people already think that U.S. corporations are doing that. I heard one completely lie and say that Exxon is building housing for U.S. people. I was like, no, they're not. They don't do housing. Like, they directly just lying. They want to think America's a good country. They want to think America helps these people, but they're living in
Yes, that's literally the point here.
Yeah.
Now, if we're looking at the foreign policy of the United States, a large amount of it has been
hit the road and take her family on that vacation for cheap, right? Half of U.S. politics, is gas prices, right? Like we talk about it every election. What are the gas prices? The gas prices are all good. Oh, the gas is so cheap here in Oklahoma. That's like half of the U.S. election. I was just impersonating an American.
So-
That was my first time like using a fake American voice. That was funny. Sorry.
Would you like me to help you with the fake American voice?
We could have a brief fake American conversation if you like. Sure.
Yeah, sorry. Would you like me to use my fake American persona?
Let's hear it. Sure.
My name is Jedediah Baptist. I'm from the greatest state in the greatest country.
It is exceptional. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Very exceptional.
Yeah. Raylene, why is the Wi-Fi not working?
Wi-Fi?
I don't know. The Wi-Fi took it out.
Hey. No Call of Duty at this time. Sorry.
I actually went to college in Virginia, so I got to hear some real Southern accents. I think it did rub off a bit. Just a bit.
I don't know. For a Canadian whose main exposure to the South has been like visiting California to visit family, I feel like
It's the exact South. Maybe Orange County, to be fair.
I know, but it's geographically South.
We don't say that. We actually, I have never. We don't say that. We actually, I have never. Because America has the South and capital S South, I have never heard any U.S. America just specifically as
Geographically,
America's have.
America is like our fat and smelly neighbor.
I was going to say dirty underwear, but close enough.
No,
Did I
you're
tell
right.
you this already? That I contacted a few people on a particular, very popular gay app that has a yellow logo and asked them if they have a Canadian flag, if they know anybody in Canada looking for an American husband. So I am considering.
That's wild.
Twice I've done that, yes. They haven't responded, by the way.
I get it.
Well, I mean, like here, it is. So as a Canadian that has had plenty of Americans proposition me in such fashion, it's creepy. Just,
Oh, well. Well.
yeah, just not on the same app.
I think maybe I did mention this before. I'm having deja vu. You wouldn't be on that type of app.
I would not. No, that is a different app. But the apps that I am referring to, there is one that is red with like a fire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's another with an H symbol, and not of the group you fucking creepy American CIA motherfuckers listening. We're talking about Hinge.
It is kind of creepy the way the surveillance state has gotten so involved. I think in people's lives. I have been on so many lives where there are just weird technical glitches, like when we start talking about things that unite us, or if there's like people from opposite
Yeah,
ideological
like
lines.
literally. Can we test it? Let's talk about Luigi Mangione and see what
Now you've done it.
That might be too much for me to test, unfortunately. We like to say we're a free country, but there are actually certain limits to our freedoms, even under the Supreme Court. And I think even pre-Trump, we would not have been able to have a totally open conversation about that.
about Luigi.
Yeah, so there's before we had this concept of public incitement, there was fighting words and there was obscenity. The First Amendment always had a narrow intent, which was to protect political speech. So if you're talking about which candidate to support, which platform, what policies, that's all kosher. But anything else was always fair game for censorship. It was never an open-ended First Amendment, at least under our jurisprudence, which did begin after Marbury versus Madison, right? It wasn't at the beginning of the
Marbury
Republic.
versus Madison.
But even before Marbury
So
versus Madison, we did actually restrict speech with like the Alien and Enemies Act or whatever.
wait,
You
is it
know,
pronounced Marbury or Marbury? I thought it was Marbury versus Madison.
Marbury,
This is the one that.
Marbury. I got a 5 on my AP US history test. Don't come at me for that. So
Okay, cool. I. Okay, cool. I took this in an American legal history
it
class. Do you
it
want to
was
come at me?
definitely MAR. I 100% like no confusion. I Marbury.
No, I mean like text of the actual case.
Yeah.
This is the one that gave the Supreme Court the ability to overturn law in the U.S.
Which
Yeah,
interestingly only
I know the
happens
case.
like it was like the 1830s that they gave themselves that power. The Republic was 2 years old, and then you had the so it's kind of funny that we
Yeah,
have a
yeah, no, no.
Supreme
And
Court
this
at
is
all.
so. I mean, what they, what this was effectively is it was setting a precedent that would give the Supreme Court power, but also give the executive branch their way in that particular instance.
Hmm.
So I think it's shrewd. It's a way to Trojan horse your enemy.
It worked. You know, we kind of
Yes,
accepted the fact that
it
the
did.
Supreme Court was the highest law in the land, and none of us ever questioned it. And the only exception was Andrew Jackson. Do you know who Trump's favorite president was?
Andrew Jackson.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the Native Americans loved Andrew Jackson.
And that's why I always felt Trump was unfit for public office because his favorite president was the one that broke the law. And here we are.
I mean, but I think that you know, I think Americans don't quite understand that it's not reciprocal in that way. Like if you're on the left and you play hardball, let's say if I said in an open square in the United States, I hope the United States has more communists and less Southern Baptists, I would be in trouble. But if somebody in the United States on the far right said that they hope that the United States has less Muslims, nothing would happen to them.
Yeah. So most Americans actually don't personally know a Muslim. So it's safe in most parts of the country to talk that
Yeah,
way.
what I mean, you're like, I'm pretty open about being very Muslim, but dude, if I'm in the U.S., bro, I'm using nicknames. I'm like, you know, like
Mhm.
I will, if I'm around some rednecks, like these motherfuckers have guns, and they will kill you,
You're
and
crazy.
they're they have been lynching for like 5 generations and beyond, you know, and like in that kind of a situation, like I'm going to frame things around things that I agree with them on, but I have to actually very strategically communicate in a way that they will see me as human because I start with the assumption that they won't. So, for example, I have to start, mentioning the importance of family or family values. That'll be something that'll like click a checkbox and they'll be like, oh, wow, this person likes that too.
Mhm.
Then I have to be like, oh yeah, it's we have a lot of respect for our elders, and they'll be like, oh wow, that's nice. I have to like strategically like maneuver them into viewing a bunch of positive things about me first, all of which are true, like I'm not lying.
Right.
But it is only after they know that they agree with me on like a fuck ton of things that I mention that I'm Muslim. That's the way you that's like how you are diplomatic with rednecks. That's how, because if you start with that, then they're just like they might kill you. They might kill your family members.
I see.
Like you and this is the exact same way you would deal with like any, like let's say if I'm, going and spending time in like northern Pakistan, and there might be some dudes that, you know, if you disagree with them on a religious thing, they might shoot you, right? Now, it's not a place where you can have like a religious scholarly debate even within the Islamic movement. Basically, if you say, "Hey, I actually think that this particular belief that you have was funded by the CIA," if you tell them that, they'll shoot you. They'll do that. They'll shoot you.
Hmm.
So you can't do that. You can't. But
Well,
what you can do in that kind of a situation is you can focus on like, hey, you know, that biryani is really good. It tastes great.
oh, they love talking
You know what
about
I mean?
food.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm saying like when you have people like that, you gotta walk on eggshells. It's kind of how it goes.
Well, that's why I just don't visit the South, right? Like, if you stick to the coast of the
Yeah,
United
well, I mean,
States,
but it's not just the South. They took over the U.S., bro. Like
no, it's
the South
mostly the
has gotten
South.
its revenge.
It's mostly the South. If I stick to the coast, I consider that civilization. Most people, it's not everyone, most people on the coast are sane and safe. So you can actually act like a normal, a global citizen, if you will, if you're on the streets of New York City or San Francisco, maybe Washington, D.C., and I say maybe because there's a lot of Southerners there. But like,
Well, but like I don't know, but I think Middle America is. I think Middle America is more honest about some of those things. Like I feel like when I'm around a lot of, and you know how I feel about Protestant
yes.
performativity, and I've been quite candid about that. But if I'm hanging out with even liberal Protestants, these are people that say they voted for Obama, tell you with pride about how they voted for Obama and how much they love Zoran Mamdani. Like those very same people. Like,
Hmm.
a lot of them, after you leave the room, you wonder if they called you a sand N word. I'm just gonna be blunt. I've had that thought a lot of the time with those type of Protestants. And I'm not specifying a race here, just to make sure I'm being clear about that.
Hmm.
I think there is an anti-brown racism that is hard baked into American Protestantism.
I mean, certainly Southern Baptists. Yeah, they taught me some false things about Muslims, and my dad is. So I was actually in that Sunday school class when I was in fourth grade with my hand raised the whole time. They never called on me. And yeah, the people
And of
just
course,
went
they.
around believing the bullshit that they were saying. Like they said Muslims worshipped a
Oh,
moon god, or that they prayed to Mecca, not in the
oh,
direction of Mecca. So they
yeah.
believe some
Yeah.
false
So
things.
similarly, okay, because we have a decent amount of family in the UAE, so
Hmm.
we go and visit there fairly often. We were actually just there, like last week again. Um, but we're there quite often and visiting, and from time to time there are American soldiers that are coming back or going to different things. And there was a time where a bunch of us were playing paintball with some American soldiers, and we actually were disturbingly serious about paintball, considering how young we were. Like we took our paintball very seriously,
Hmm.
and there's like a bunch of like American GIs that fuck us up in paintball. Like they like we generally were quite good against other people in our age group. but these were grown men and they, had actual firearms training. So we were outgunned, as you said. And, we had a conversation with some of these guys afterwards. Um, and, they're like, "Oh, what do you guys want to do?" And one of my friends is like, "Yeah, I want to be a doctor." He's like, "Oh yeah, the world needs more doctors and all of those things." He's like, "But would you care about doing that for a Christian?" He'd be like, "Of course. What? Like, what the fuck?" And you could see like gears spinning in the guy's head. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like, have you seen that, like those old like Mac things where like it's like the spinny wheel.
Yes.
The old Mac spinny wheels. It's like air, air, air. Like I feel like that's like what was going on in bro's head.
Yeah, you have to wonder.
Um, um, cause like,
I'm keeping myself muted because I'm
yeah.
coughing and sniffling and everything. But I did want
Also,
to say one other thing though. I went into my other account and came into the live, and it would not let me repost it
Oh,
for some
interesting.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
fascinating.
It could be the restriction I got earlier from showing content that wasn't mine too long. So we'll try speeding that.
Yeah, I just tried reposting as well, and it said couldn't repost.
Yeah, well, I'll try to show unoriginal content faster next time. I was just using it as a sort of background image, but like I guess TikTok frowns on that. So this is an unoriginal
Hmm.
background image, by the way, but I don't think it gets flagged. Maybe because I modified it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy. But
It is very crazy. It's
yeah,
it's so difficult. It's like a minefield.
but like what I'm saying here is that a lot of American leftists, they're very surprised when they see how, like, them being leftist does not make me feel any safer. But if they were, say, never affiliated with any Protestant group, I would actually feel safer. And
Mm.
that fucks with their brains. Because they're like, I identify as an atheistic Satanist now, but I was raised Southern Baptist. Why would you think that I'm racist? I'm like, you're kidding, right?
Yeah, it fucked with my brain when you first initially told me to, because I think as Americans we're just told to like assume everyone is equal. And in fact, my mother told me once, you're supposed to assume all Americans are the same. She actually gave me that dictum because I was talking about our cultural differences, and she was warning me, like in a professional environment, you can't talk about those differences. And I actually experienced the consequences of that firsthand once because when I started talking about culture, people assumed I was
No, no, no.
being
But
racist, but I was talking about culture.
at
And a lot of Americans actually
like
don't
at
know the
work,
difference. A lot of Americans actually don't know the difference between culture and race.
just to be clear, this is not a conversation I'd ever have at work.
Well, and the way I
That's
put it at work was never like all people are X, right? It was more like, hey, I'm having an
Yeah.
issue with this coworker, and I know that in that culture they don't blah blah blah.
Don't do that.
I can't. I never will again. Yeah, it sucks because they do. But whatever.
No, but that's not the way to communicate in that kind of like you got to learn how to speak corporate, bro.
Well, that's the thing. I just put things as they are, right? I don't believe in the.
No, but like you gotta, like, there's an actual language to it in the corporate world. And you have to understand that, like, HR language, like, they got guidelines, they got to follow their rules.
Dude,
And you just
culture?
you
Hey, hold up. Culture is not a protected class under US discrimination law. So if you're mentioning HR, they shouldn't give a fuck if you talk about someone's culture. You're not supposed to discriminate based on natural national origin, but a culture is something bigger than a country, right? So like in Eastern cultures, what I said is that you have this concept of saving face that's common to India, China, everywhere, right? Like I'm not saying that
yeah,
like we
look, look,
can't
look.
employ those
I
people. of saving face. That's common to India, China, everywhere, right? Like, I'm not saying that
Yeah,
like we
look,
can't
look.
employ those people.
No, I'm Jewish, but I look Italian. My parents are Russian. Hi, Karen. Does Karen...
Situation is a person is arrogant, they don't think that they can be wrong, and you believe that that's part of cultural practice, correct?
The idea that someone can never be wrong in Eastern cultures comes from the concept of saving face. She's not an arrogant person. She's not an asshole. In fact, she even said at one point, I tried to give people as much latitude as possible. And I believed her because she had worked with previous people that were able to get good work done under her.
So here's what I would suggest instead.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest instead to say, hey, you know, I think there are cultural communication issues that I want to make sure that we're able to bridge and work on.
I see.
Now, people that grow up in different cultures may internalize different things with regards to, whether it's okay to ask for help in certain situations. And I would really love to help in some of these situations. I've offered, and this person hasn't been willing to take help. And a consequence of their not being willing to take help has been that the work doesn't end up getting done. And I'd really like the work to get done. I know that there can be some hesitation around these things culturally, and I want to be sensitive about that.
Mm.
See how that way of framing it doesn't sound hostile?
And I'm probably not going to remember all that.
I was going to
Okay.
say I didn't even understand. I mean, I understood it, but it was very hard. It was like a word salad. My brain totally
Well, okay,
Okay,
disconnected.
well
It made sense.
that would keep your ass safe from HR.
Yeah, no, it made sense what you were saying. I just think in the heat of the moment, like from day to
Okay.
day, I probably wouldn't remember to say all of those things. And you qualified it very well.
Yeah. So basically, in a situation like that, also record the fucking conversation so you don't get misquoted. But
In the future, I will. Yeah, it's
you,
sad I have to do that.
yeah, just you're brown. You're dealing with HR people. They're probably Protestant.
Dude,
Fucking protect your ass.
the person I pulled aside to tell was black. I thought he might understand. In the future, I'll understand. No, he won't. But it's like I thought I was on safe.
No, like this is why I think when Americans just hyper focus on race and don't think about like culture, like there's a difference. If we're looking at like black folk in Nigeria or American black folk who were raised like evangelical,
Mhm.
there's a difference between how they will relate with other non-white people.
Sure. Yeah, I've actually talked about some of those differences and got some backlash from that too.
And again, these are people that may look identical in white eyes, quote unquote,
I know.
but they behave very differently when it comes to non-white people. Similarly, let's take a look at like Iranians in the United States versus Iranians in Iran.
Hmm.
There are usually some big differences in how they behave. No?
I mean, I've never met
Cubans in
an
the United
Iranian from
States and
Iran,
Cubans
so
in Cuba?
I don't know.
What?
I've never. So I did have a college roommate who was Iranian, but I've never met an Iranian in Iran, so I have no idea if he behaved differently than Iranians in Iran.
Like, okay, maybe the Cuban example will be easier to understand.
Okay.
Like, Cuban Americans are often people who are the descendants of like people who were like American stooges when America ruled Cuba, when the Cubans had their revolution. A lot of those guys ended up like fleeing the country, came to the US, vote for super far right wing things, often against the interests of other minorities. A lot of Cubans like vote against the interests of other Latino people, are like inherently, supporting policies that are against Mexican Americans, for example. Is that ringing any bells?
I did have a Cuban American guest last night where I said something similar using other words, because yes, there is a difference when they're in exile.
So, but that, in the same way that specific subtype of Cuban American isn't representative of all Cuban people nor all Latino people, and it's usually actually quite different. You have a lot of people that are like Iranian in the US who like, I mean, to be fair, I don't fucking like the regime either. I'm pretty anti-regime,
Hmm.
but I would not replace the regime with Israel,
Well, yeah.
you know, because replacing the regime with Israel means like millions of people dying, and the regime means like hundreds of thousands of people dying, and both are bad, but one is much worse.
Right.
And
A lot of
you
Americans
know,
don't get that.
yeah, no, and you know, I think for a lot of people, like it's fucked up that you have to think about it that way, but like it's like, would you rather have your kid be around someone that's like an abusive, mean asshole, but who's not a predator, or like literal Jeffrey Epstein? Who would you rather have your kid around?
Right.
If
Exactly.
you had no choice other than those two, what would you do?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's
Right? Like it's not that you want the former, because that's the good choice. It's just that like out of the choices you have, that's the one that like has the least bad consequences,
yeah. I think that's an analogy
right?
they would understand.
Yeah. So in the same way, there's like a lot of people that like don't like, you know, I don't fuck with the regime in Iran. I don't like them. In fact, like if there's anything that might make me have some support for Netanyahu, it would be overthrowing the regime in Iran. Like if he could manage to do it in a way that like doesn't fuck over Iran or like the Muslim world more broadly,
Hmm.
but then it's Netanyahu. Of course he would fuck over the Muslim world more broadly, and of course he would fuck over. If there was a way that it was actually peaceful and like things are good, like I would actually like sing his praises straight up.
Hmm.
But you know that's not gonna happen. So
Right.
that's like maybe the one thing that could get me to like say something nice about him in a situation, hypothetically, you know. But in the same sense, I think there's a lot vote Democrat not because they believe in the Democratic Party, but because they're scared of the Republicans and than the people that actually support the Democratic Party. Like, there's a lot of people that fuck with Obama and fuck with Zoran Mamdani and do not fuck with, you know, like the whole Gavin Newsom, like Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, um, Andrew Cuomo, Zionist wing of the party. You know,
Hmm.
those are not the same people. Like, there's a lot of people that want opportunity and diversity, um, and who like people like Mamdani, who like people like AOC, who like people like Bernie, who like people, like Obama, who like that wing of the Democratic Party. And then there's people that like are like, Biden, Harris. Not the same people. Not the same people at all.
Sure.
And a lot of Democrats are arrogant and think that people agree with them, that they are the left.
I don't know if it's arrogant. It's just from the ones I've talked to, because like I know some people in the National Party maintain some of those contacts. They are not the ones in charge of the party, so
I think
maybe it's a little bit different. I think for them it's
I
more
think
about
it's textbook
playing.
imperial arrogance.
No, I think for them it's more about playing it safe because they're afraid to take any calculated risk that might gain voters. Right. That was where I was coming from, trying to talk with these people during the Bernie era, 2016, 2020. Like they have a formula that they want to follow, and it's familiar, and it's just impossible to tell them anything outside of the playbook that they have, and it can
But
come
that
across as
playbook
arrogant.
doesn't work. Like honestly,
Yeah.
knowing the establishment formula and is going to be like run Hillary Clinton again, but get Hillary to make her younger. Like that's it's just it's like they just don't get it. They don't get it. I think that the Democratic Party is run by racist white people who think that the plebs are stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I
I don't
really
think you're
do.
entirely wrong there. Yeah, I have noticed, especially because Trump's reelection the second time gave me kind of a racial awakening. I didn't look at things racially before because I was trying to be on that road to equality, the mountaintop of brotherhood. But there are people there who are not there with us yet, right? And when I looked back racially at my professional life, it was always the European males that had the most trouble internalizing new information. And I never looked at it that way before, but once I did, I can't unsee it. And it sounds to me like you're not wrong. I think that is part of where that arrogance or insularity, I think, comes from, right? I am actually writing my next article on on Substack on how to get
Bro, but
Americans
like,
to
okay,
think.
first off,
Because
stop using the term white.
uh,
I
European.
you know
I said
that like
European.
movie where there's that, okay, or European, like that like
It's Western European,
that
absolutely.
guy that,
But
okay, have you seen that movie,
there are races
The
Eastern
Campaign?
Europeans. They exist. So that's why I just say European.
Uh,
Because European is an umbrella term. It doesn't mean that everyone fits under the umbrella. There's always exceptions to every rule. It doesn't matter what group you use.
okay,
There's always going to be outliers. But it's European. It's fucking European. And it's only these
okay,
people that have that sort of, I'm above you. I don't need to learn anything. I already know everything I need to know. Fuck you. Right? That's them. You know who they
okay.
are.
So let's
I don't have to tell you.
let's just thought experiment,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to say what number I would select. Okay.
Okay.
So the first thing is percentage of overall whites that are white supremacist. What's the number I'd put on that?
These days, I would guess around 42. It's higher than I would used to guess.
Nope, just 5%.
I disagree. Do you know why?
Okay, cool.
Do you know why?
Uh,
Because there's this little guy in the White House named Donald J. Trump, and he ran on principles that overlap with white supremacy. And that a lot of the time when you
yeah, I
talk
know.
to
to only Western Europe and the US? Now, does the number go up or down? Let's just start with that.
So that's hard for me to guess because all of my interactions with people outside of Western Europe and the US were online. And that can have a biasing effect, right? So like these are wealthier Eastern Europeans.
Okay.
I don't know how much of the
I'm going to
Connections give you kind of
remind
a-
you you're guessing what I would say the number would be.
Okay, so if you were starting with 5, and then I guess you would go up from there.
It could go down. It could go, like, I mean, just
I
give
don't
it a
think
guess.
it would go down. I think supremacy is concentrated around Western Europe and the United States. It is more common in Western
Good,
for sure.
good,
Yeah.
good. Okay, so the number goes up, right?
I said it goes up. Yeah.
Okay, yes. But I just I wanted to make sure you got the reasoning. Okay, so
Sure.
let's say that the number goes up to 10% when we're restricting it there. So yeah, supremacists in some of those other communities as well, but they're like less likely to be white supremacist. So once you restrict the conversation to just Western Europe and the US,
Mm-hmm.
so now let's restrict it further. Let's restrict it to just the Protestants. What happens to the number?
It might be more than a majority. These days.
Okay, so let's say that the number goes from 10% to 25%. Let's just
Yeah.
say, okay, we're just getting Protestants. Now let's go to evangelical Protestants.
80% probably.
Not yet. We're at 50 now.
No. No, evangelicals. That's subtracting the mainline denominations. I would say 80%.
Yeah, no, don't worry. We're gonna add one more filter after this, and you'll see.
Okay.
So now, what if we look at those that are evangelicals with less than a high school degree?
Yeah, I think that gets even higher.
Yeah, now we're up in the 80s.
I would say 90s, but sure. You're pretty optimistic.
Okay, but do you see how, like, when we said just white, the number was 5, and then when we added a bunch of these conditions, the odds went up by like a lot each time?
Well, sure. And I'm not saying that reality doesn't have granularity. What I am saying is that when you're saying something in conversation, you have to have a way to reference it. And I'm in the United States, especially, I'm not always going to start the conversation with WASP or Protestant, right? Especially when the problem is larger than just those
should.
people. No, I'm not. I don't think I ever will, because here's why I always say Europeans are YT. The people that get triggered by it needed to be triggered by it because they invest too much of their identity. No. Yes, this is important. And you cut me off right when I was explaining, which, by the way, is one of those behaviors. And I have mentioned that, yes, they're Caucasian. Some brown people share this because we have the Mongols that had a similar conquest behavior and attitude, right? So there's some overlap, right? We're all one human family. English is an Indo-European language.
Those are my ancestors.
Yeah, exactly. English is an Indo-European language. There's going to be some commonality with all of humanity. I'm not rejecting that when I say it's Europeans who insist on that behavior and they embody that stereotype. And the Europeans that get offended, the ones that say like, oh, you're making it about race, they are the ones that invest way too much of their identity in being European. And they need to overcome that. They need to get over that because you're a human first. If you're offended by someone talking about white folks, re-examine your life priorities.
I straight up just think that like what we need to do is we need to deconstruct the whole whiteness paradigm in and of itself. I think even communicating within that paradigm perpetuates it.
There is nuance there. There's the fact that Eastern Europeans have a different heritage. I read an article that actually talked about the fact that Slavic people consider German to be a barbaric language. What is English based on? Right? There's nuance to explore there. But when we're talking conversationally, I don't start with the nuance. I don't. I never will. Because we can always unpack.
Again, I think once we start with the narrative shorthand that accepts the American framing of identity with, white Europeanness as being in the center, we're already starting from a place that has been poisoned.
And that's fine, because the people who have unpacked and gotten rid of the poison aren't offended by what I say.
It's not about that. It's not about that. It's just like discourse matters, and if we're starting with a discourse that inherently let's take for example, like if we start with the assumption that US imperialism is bad. Okay? I know that's not necessarily a belief you hold because you're actually quite pro US imperialism. You just want it to be a US imperialism.
I'm not in favor of imperialism. I'm in favor of hegemony. There's a difference.
Tomato.
No. Nuance. We need nuance. You're asking me for nuance in race, but you won't give it to me in actual geopolitics.
Okay, I said that tongue in cheek, to be fair, which you know. But when it comes to if we accept the assumption that U.S. imperialism is bad, and that U.S. imperialism relies upon certain ways of seeing the world, and when the U.S. Engages in some of its online activism, it tries to export those ideas, culture war framings, narratives, etc., to other contexts. Do we agree on this? So, for example, if the Europeans are remade in the image of the Americans, they will stop seeing themselves as Polish or German or Irish or Dutch, and they will start just seeing themselves as white. And if they start seeing themselves as just white, they are more easily subsumed into the American empire. True or false?
That's a tough one. The reason why is
like imagine.
Well, in America, but in the United States, we usually don't say the word white. Like it's unspoken, right? I'm usually the one to bring it up.
But it's I think even like there's certain aspects of the American left that are so Trojan horsed that Americans just don't see it. Let's say we step into a door, and out of that door we walk out 100 years from now, and Europe and all of the white world is all just owned by the U.S. It's all one big American white supremacist empire. Okay, and let's say that they have taken over all of the Christian stuff. Everyone now, the Catholic Church doesn't exist. Orthodox Christianity doesn't exist. There's just one Southern Baptist cult. Okay, no, maybe the American fucking president who's now an emperor is like their equivalent of religious leader. Let's say that's out. Let's say we can walk into a world where that happens. Which rednecks around today would want to walk into that world, and which ones would reject that kind of world?
That's hard to say. When I look at red state vote totals,
no, it's not. It's pretty easy to say. Well, like we know exactly who they are.
I know which ones you want me to think. But I am giving people the benefit of the doubt because there's like 48% of Southerners that actually vote with liberal Democrats, believe it or not. Like the woke Democrats, right? Like the ones that we're all say are unelectable. Like
Okay, but what does woke even mean though? Like, there's plenty of people that are called woke.
pro-trans.
They're like, okay, that doesn't like, with respect, there are people that care a lot about some social issues that just don't about others. If they're like, we're talking about racism right now. So if somebody's like caring about trans issues, but they're also racist, you know, I guess like good for them, but I don't think that's relevant to a conversation about racism. You know what I mean?
And
Like in the same way that if you have somebody that is super supportive of gay rights, but they molested children,
so
that wouldn't undo molesting children being bad.
Racism contains a power dynamic. My theory is that if you're willing to vote for the anti-racist candidate, that's part of what woke means too. Then maybe you're not totally racist, right? Because like a hardcore racist would never let the anti-racist take power.
But I think a hardcore racist would be more likely to want certain ways of controlled opposition in order to fuck their enemies over. Let's say, for example, okay, let's say if like I'm gonna put my Jedediah Baptist hat on.
Oh God.
And I'm gonna to be super redneck. And hi, my name is Jedediah Baptist, and I've been inducted into the Order of Lynching. Here's what we're going to do in order to ensure the minorities have no power. So I have a candidate, and his name is Abdullah. We actually have several members that we have kidnapped in Afghanistan. Informed him that if he does not do every single thing that we say, that every member of his extended in ways most vile. So what we're going to do is we're going to ensure that he does everything that we say. Now he himself as a liberal candidate, but then we're going to do all these horrible things to other groups later on so that we can turn these minority groups against each other. So this is going to be beef between Abdullah and his Afghanis and other Pakistanis. We're going to ensure that there's additional beef between them and the Iranians. We're going to ensure that there's additional beef between them and American blacks. There's additional beef between them and multiple people in the LGBT community. We're going to do everything that we can in order. Mm-hmm. Hallelujah. Praise, ammunition, and Jesus. I guarantee there's some redneck motherfucker that thinks that way, by the way.
Some of them, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Paul, what do you think of that?
I will be honest with you guys. I am listening. I am enjoying, but I am not feeling well at all. So I've just got my eyes closed and I'm laying down, and I really don't have any opinion because I'm sort of.
Also, Paul, is this a new account of yours?
No.
Okay.
What do you think is new about it?
Well, I mean, I believe I'd spoken to you before, and I thought I had, like, you on TikTok. But it seems like I don't.
Oh, let's see. Maybe you unfollowed me because I'm too radical.
I'd be the one that's too radical, bud.
Maybe I'm too woke.
I don't know. I don't believe in that word.
Well, I've got a hat coming in the mail with big giant letters that say WOKE.
Well, I would, if I could, have a t-shirt that says "Send Trump to Nuremberg."
I bet if you search for it, it exists.
I'm sure it does. Just watch me like bring that to the U.S. border, like send Trump to Nuremberg.
You know,
Make
I
the
was
Southern
listening to
Baptist
a
Convention a terror organization.
I was listening to a comedy podcast, and his co-host was going for a job. I don't know the details, but the owner or the boss listened to the podcast, and because the boss was a Trump supporter, he did not hire. He originally offered the person the job, and then once he heard that, he rescinded the offer. So if you come to the border with those T-shirts, you might be rescinded.
Yeah, no, there are people that I've known that have been like in trouble based on tweets that they've made.
Yeah. Well,
There's a
that's
guy
why.
there's a guy from Norway that got kicked out of the US for having a meme of JD Vance looking like a
Yes,
king.
that's what I was thinking of. Yes, I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
that.
yeah. So like basically, and there's a chance that, this is why like yeah, there's a chance I was gonna be in Colombia next year. Thank God I'm not. Actually, no, not next year. Like right now, actually. And you can ask Tonard. He's literally seen my admission letter. You know. But yeah, dude, I like pre Mumdani, I was like, fuck no. Literally, like I was just like, no, no way. I will die. Like they will ice me.
Has Bumdani done anything in the 2 days that he's been running New York?
Actually, he's already taken away legal protections that criminalize people protesting outside of like that protect Zionist protesters specifically and criminalize anti-Zionist protesters. So he's already done that.
So say it again. What did he do? He took away what?
He took away the protections for Zionists at
Okay.
protests, and he like took away the things that demonize anti-Zionist. Anti-Zionism is not considered anti-Semitism. If someone's like, "Hey, don't kill this child," killing her was bad. Shouldn't be controversial. To many in the Democratic establishment, including people like Hakeem Jeffries, and shamelessly pro-Israel. They have taken a lot of money from AIPAC. They're in the pocket of Netanyahu. They eat his kibble.
Which my next question will be: we officially call this World War III.
When Richie Torres and Hakeem Jeffries, Democratic Party, and fuck off to Israel.
I'll tell you. This Venezuela thing, I think it made me sick. I mean, I think I was so stressed that my body.
Have you
couldn't-
noticed that the U.S. they invade the countries with oil and hot women? Like, why the fuck are they not invading? They're not invading the Netherlands for a fucking reason. Just saying. Yeah, like look at Syrian women, look at Lebanese women, look at Palestinian women, then look at Dutch women. I'm just saying. There's a fucking reason that they're not invading the Netherlands. There's a fucking reason they're not invading England. Just saying.
Well, yeah. You know what? I just remembered what I wanted to ask. Have either of you seen or know of this woman on here on the TikTok? I believe her username is Unlearn16, and she's Canadian, but I don't know all about her. I just found her, I think, today, where she kind of does almost like a teaching lesson with a chalkboard or a whiteboard. Have you heard of her?
Is she Protestant?
I don't know that. I think she's a lesbian. But no, she did I think a video that's gone viral about Venezuela that she recorded earlier in December. That's now like she predicted the future. So she's gaining a lot of, momentum and all that. But I don't know. I guess I can't play a video through here, but I'd like you to look
Abu
around.
Jamal, who has been in prison for like 20 years, longer, I think. He was caught in the 90s. He wrote about the U.S. invading Venezuela next during the Bush administration.
Yeah. She mentions she goes back in the history to Bush, and I just, I think it's such a, it's like an 8-minute video, but it's very clearly laid out. I just like the way that she presented it. And I hope that people do understand this. This goes back to Bush. This is like really all of the U.S. manipulation coming to a head, and the things that Trump is saying about running the country. I mean, honest to God, I think my body can't take this.
Yeah, I was finding myself wishing I had actually left.
I don't know, like, are you folks familiar with Immortal Technique?
Familiar with what?
What is it?
Immortal Technique?
No.
Okay. Do you want to listen to some good quality hip hop?
I'm going to vote no.
It might trigger TikTok's copyright filter. I used to share music at the beginning of my lives to set the scene, and while I was waiting for a guest to come up, I think it helped the viewership. But TikTok eventually stopped blocking copyrighted stuff.
He literally says in his albums that he encourages people to like just download it off the web. He like straight up says he doesn't care about the money.
Yeah, but the algorithm doesn't care about what artists care about. So.
Like if he doesn't care, like
yeah,
and if he's basically saying that like he has the copyright so a corporation doesn't steal it, not if you don't.
But it's not just copyrighted content that TikTok flags. Remember, it's unoriginal, so anything can flag it. It's just it's better not to. It sucks. Like I miss playing music on my lives, but.
Okay.
It's probably part of why viewership is down, because that is how radio hosts get you to tune into their broadcasts, right? They start with some interesting intro music, and sometimes they'll play it before the commercial break. It's a nice, like, no one tunes into a radio show because it's just someone talking the whole time. I think that's the other reason for
Okay. Can I read it out loud?
Sure.
Okay. To think about the origins of hip hop in this culture, and also about homeland security, it is to see that there are at least two worlds in America, one of the well-to-do and another of the struggling. For if ever there was the absence of homeland security, it is seen in the gritty roots of hip hop. For the music arises from a generation that feels with some justice that they have been betrayed by those who came before them, that they have been at best tolerated at schools, feared on the streets, and inevitably destined for the hellholes of prison. They grow up hungry, hated, and unloved. And this is the psychic fuel that generates the anger that seems endemic in much of music and poetry. One senses very little hope above the personal goals of wealth to climb above the pit of poverty. In the broader society, the opposite is true. For here, more than any other place on earth, wealth is so widespread and so bountiful. What passes for the middle class in America could pass for the upper class in most of the rest of the world. Their very opulence and relative wealth makes them insecure, and homeland security is a governmental phrase that is as oxymoronic, as crazy as saying intelligence or the U.S. Department of Justice. they're just words. They have very little relationship to reality. Now, do you feel safer now? Do you think you will anytime soon? Do you think duct tape and Kleenex and color codes will make you safe? From Death Row, this is Pooh Jamal. I thought that shit was pretty cool.
I see. Now I know why you wanted. Yeah.
It was almost better read. I liked it. That's the
I mean,
Yeah.
it's the European in me,
It
I
was.
guess.
I think the Southern Baptist in you has prevented you from appreciating good quality hip hop.
No, I don't.
Because
I don't think it was
there is hip hop like this that does exist.
I don't think it was Southern Baptist that biased me against hip hop. I think it is my whiteness, because like I just don't like loud, like.
Sorry,
forceful-
your white side of the family. What's the religious background of your white side of the family? Just to confirm.
I actually don't know what my parents' denomination was. In fact, before my mom converted to Christianity, she was actually Wiccan. So I don't know like what the history is in my family.
Okay, once she converted to Christianity, what was she?
Her initial denomination was Southern Baptist, but I only attended that church for
Yeah, it was.
only for 2 years, and they never covered that particular topic.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
It
matter.
does. It actually
The
does.
stain is there.
No, I also don't like heavy metal, right? Like it's the same kind of just too much, right? Like I actually want music that has tonality. I want music that like inspires, uplifts, make you feel happy. I actually
You
listen
have
to
that. You have that.
in the early days of internet radio. They had a Yahoo radio station that was actually called Happy, and I would listen to it. I was like, I guess that's the kind of music I like. Hip hop is not happy most of the time. There is some happy hip hop that I actually have on my library. It's from is it Arrested Development? They had Tennessee, Mr. Wendell. You know, it's kind of light and poppy. It's not like in your face. So that's my kind of hip hop if I have it.
I don't know, man. There's definitely. I think there's some really good quality hip hop that I think the US media ecosystem does not want you to focus on. And you have, good sound, good melodies, all of that, but you also have meaning that is quite beautiful. And that is something that, the traditional U.S. nightclub or radio jockey is unlikely to prioritize.
I mean,
Now,
listen to
I
all-
just sent you.
I listen to all kinds of music. I have French public radio that I tune into, and it's called eclectic because it plays music from every genre. Some of the music is actually hip hop, but it's just on the lighter side. It's not like, because they have a hip hop station. I never tune into it.
Yeah, no, and I love French hip hop. By the way, you know I'm a lover of the French. I adore the French. But I have a much better relationship with white Catholics than I do with white Protestants.
Right.
Just much better.
But in that lyrics you played, this is an article out from Foreign Affairs just this month. This was before the invasion, by the way. But it is talking about how wealthier, more powerful nations are less secure, more fearful. And it's funny that your hip hop lyric actually mentioned that at one point. I forget what words he used exactly, but it was very deep.
So, do these things make you safe? I think is that the
something like that? Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff. I encourage you to check out Immortal Technique, Akala, Loki, KRS-One. They got some good shit.
Not much, not much, not much. I'm just chilling in the cold outside.
Chilling in the cold outside?
Yes.
Are you up in the Great White North with us? Or are you
No, I'm in the south. I'm in Texas, lol.
He means
Oh,
Texas
shit,
cold,
okay.
yeah, not Midwest cold.
But still,
Okay.
even though it's 49, it still feels pretty breezy out here. I'll tell you that much.
buddy?
I know what you mean because I'm originally from Arizona, and you know, in Tucson, 50 degrees is considered cold, and if I'm in Washington D.C. and it's 45, it feels like 30 to me. Like so I know what you're talking about, but like if you're from say Canada, 50 feels like nothing. It's like you call that cold?
Right, you get used to it.
We literally we were in Boston for one of the biggest like snowstorms that they'd ever had. This is like I think either 2014 or 2015. Huge snowstorm. So we were there for like a school trip. And so we're staying in the Boston Park Plaza, and it's like, you know, nice place, but it is total chaos. Like everything is closed, everything is frozen, airlines are shut down. You know, like Harvard shut down for the first time in like, you know, decades. You know, so it was a huge deal. And when this happened, our Canadian asses thought it would be funny to go outside in t-shirts and shorts. Some people decided to not wear t-shirts and just be shirtless
Oh my!
and wear shorts.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Well, it's also similar to how I think if you put a northerner in the south, they'll think that 70 degrees is hot. But take a southerner, especially, oh my gosh, being from Laredo, Texas myself, if anything, the heat in Central Texas, while annoying and exhausting, is bearable at least. Nothing compared to the heat in either in Arizona, where Tolner is from, or the heat in the Rio Grande Valley region of Texas. You have McAllen, Laredo, Victoria. It gets hot as fuck down there.
So this is something that I find very fascinating. Because I am brown, I can handle heat super well, and because I'm Canadian, I can handle cold super well.
Interesting.
Superpower.
So like, I've never been sunburned in my entire life. Fun fact.
Oh wow.
Not in Egypt, not in the UAE, not in Morocco. I've never not in, you know, not in Singapore, not in Malaysia.
I probably
Never.
I probably do have a similar package of yours, so I can
I
handle the heat
definitely
because I
have
grew up
sunburn.
in Laredo. I grew up in Laredo, so I can definitely handle the heat. Now, do I get sunburned? Yes, I do, but it's not as strong though as you would expect.
It
I don't know
takes me a
why,
while.
but
Yeah, the only time
and I
I've been sunburned in my life were like
literally, I have.
all day beach outings, right? And I forgot to put on sunscreen.
So
I mean, I pushed
yeah. So
mean, I
my
worked
ex's
outdoors.
family, like her ancestors were from France/Ireland, and she literally like she's like a lobster anytime that she's in the sun. Like she will literally just get red. And in my case, I'm like, this is supposed to be uncomfortable? Like what happened? Like I just get darker. My skin literally just gets like a shade darker. That's all that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I don't get sunburned like that. Like literally, I worked pushing carts at Sam's Club before, and at IKEA as well for a while. And I will be pushing through the most sunny ass days you could imagine. And sometimes I'll forget to wear sunscreen, so you know I was raw dogging it out there. And even when I came back from my shift, I didn't get red at all. I got like kind of like a dark, like a kind of like a light caramel or dark beige tone on me. I don't know how to explain it, but definitely not red for sure. Not that reddish.
My skin
Burnt look.
darkens after getting sunburned, but like after the initial burning, I'm definitely red.
Yeah, I never gotten red at all, so I don't know why.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure my genealogy may have something to do with it. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
I don't really have any Western European leaning like that.
I do.
But
Yeah, that's
What's
correct.
your background?
So I have some traces of Italian in me, and it makes sense being half Argentine, half Mexican myself. Makes sense.
Nice.
Mm.
I have a little bit of Middle Eastern as well. Some Syrian,
Really?
Lebanese, and
Oh, very nice.
yeah,
Mom
as
said
well
it
as
does.
as well as some early Egypt, I think.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
I got you matched on some of the Egypt stuff.
Mhm. Now on the Mexican side, yeah, I may have some French, but very conservative. It's a very conservative ratio, though. It's nothing too crazy.
That's fine. That's fine. You know, yeah. In my case, mostly, Baloch region of Pakistan and Iran, with a little bit of Iraq, a little bit of Turkey, a little bit of Egypt as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little bit of India as well in there.
Oh,
And a bit of Afghanistan.
nice.
So yeah, it's cool.
That's nice.
Yeah. But it's like, I would say between like West Pakistan / Eastern Iran is like most of my DNA.
Nice. On the European side, I think I have some Portuguese, some Italian, a lot of Spanish, of course, being that I'm from Latin America, and
Mm.
as well as some, I don't know, like some before France was France, you had like the one country in the Iberian Peninsula, or not a country, but it was like a kingdom. I forgot the name of it, but it was by the Gulf Coast between Spain, Portugal, and even Morocco. Yeah, because a lot of people don't realize that modern Europe, it didn't really came to be about until like only the last 2 centuries.
I don't know.
A lot of like,
I would put it earlier. I know like the concept of a country didn't exist until the late 1800s, but like the Holy Roman Empire was basically Germany today in terms of the city states that it was composed of. So to me, Western Europe does actually go back to Roman times.
mm,
It's when London got started, by the way. I watched a TikTok video about the history of the city because I was kind of curious.
Cute.
And I traveled a lot when I was younger, so I got to see the difference. Because, like in Arizona, where I'm from, it wasn't really settled until it became a U.S. state in the early 20th century. So, like, all of our buildings were brand new. And then you go somewhere like Rome, Italy, and like everything's from the hundreds of, thousands of years ago. So it was quite the contrast to be able to be in those two places in early childhood.
I also do have some Macedonian in me, I believe, but I would have to check that again with my family. But yeah, because I remember asking my family a couple of years ago about my ancestral lineage a bit, because I wanted to learn. Oh, he left. Well, bummers. But yeah, I wanted to learn a bit about my own, genetic information and cultural lineage and such. But yeah, unsurprisingly, yeah, I didn't really hear nothing too much, barely anything Western European.
Yeah. I'm like,
And this is what people need to realize. Even the white people of Latin America are nothing like the white people of North America. White people in North America have more Scandinavian or Anglo-Saxon heritage. White people in Latin and South America have more. I mean, yeah, they can have some of that, but they have more Mediterranean roots.
could explain why they're spicier.
What's that?
It could explain why they're spicier.
Yep. Oh yeah. No question about it.
Yeah, there is a way of behaving that seems to unite European people, regardless of whether they have. Because, like, I am half myself, so I see it in others. It's like, yep, that's the European part.
Yep.
I like to say my European part is self-hating these days because I had to self-hate the other part for the last 20 years. So
That's fair. No self-hate on either side. Though I do sometimes have an identity crisis, but that makes sense, right? For people of two different nationalities, seems pretty common.
Well, to me, it's not a crisis. To me, I'm fully both, right? Like, I can understand and empathize with either side. There's things I admire about European culture. There's things I admire about, my dad being from North Africa and the richness of what goes on over there.
I think you're, if I remember correctly, you're Moroccan, right?
So my dad's from North Africa, and it's like a part of the country that's near the border. So, like, I just don't insist on a certain country. It's like I can be from anywhere in North Africa.
From either end. Oh, so you're from like a very border-ish part of that.
Yeah. So and by the way, countries are a Western invention anyway, right? The modern borders of North Africa were set by colonial powers. So I think if you're from North Africa, it's kind of stupid to say, like, well, I like this country, I like that country. No, it was all one thing before. So, like, who cares? And it was funny because, like, as I was saying that,
you're right.
well, and as I was saying that on Israel Palestine Live, someone in the comments was projecting their European mentality because they said, "Oh, he claims all of North Africa for himself," and I was like, "What?" Like, no. It's the opposite. Countries are colonial. I'm saying I don't claim any country that was invented by Europeans. It's like, this is the amount of work we have to do to kind of de-Europeanize, decolonize the mindset. And there are things I admire about European culture. They're just not very visible lately. So,
I wonder if that's also how I feel. So bear with me. Things are about to get a little interesting.
Sure.
But if Britishness is also a European invention, the reason I ask that is because I don't know. I find it so bizarre how did Europe go from being one of the most British cultures in the planet, literally for centuries, to all of a sudden being portrayed as progressive when it comes to manners like sexuality, nudity, and relationship norms. It's kind of always been,
So
I don't know, I guess a mental puzzle for me.
you're saying that prudishness is a European invention, but it's actually American in the sense that, like, the Europeans that were prudes left Europe because they were Europe's rejects and they came here to America. They couldn't fit in over there. They were too much, and, like, I think that's part of why historically America was welcoming of immigrants because, like, we were, most of us came from somewhere else and we didn't want to be there. So we got it. We took people who didn't want to be there. And it's, that's changing now. This is not the America I grew up in. And I am starting to hate on European culture only in the sense that there are certain Europeans that insist on it. My Canadian friend is correct. It's mostly the Anglo and Dutch and Protestant people that are the biggest problem. But I see nationalism and whitey pride among Eastern Europeans lately too, and the anti-immigrant stuff. So I just kind of dig into it, and I get the reaction because I've spent a decade being kind. I was nothing but polite, rational, sometimes deferential, letting them vent because I thought, oh, maybe they're feeling oppressed. They just have to talk more. No, that's over. You had your chance, white tea folks. You had your chance, Europeans. You fucked up. And now you get nothing from hate from me. Nothing but hate. Because, like, what I found out, when I reflected after Donald Trump won the second time, what I realized is before this PC culture set in and the feminism and all that, the way white tea males talk to each other was abusive. they only got through to each other through very strong insults. And it, by the way, it is a form of male bonding in that culture to like just razz people. That's where frat initiations come from, by the way. Same thing. So for those people, in order to get their attention, you have to insult them. There is no other way. And then you might have a conversation afterward if you're lucky, but you're not going to get their attention unless you're strong with them, unless you assert some sort of dominance. It's like the pecking order in monkey cages, essentially. That's what we're in, is one big monkey cage. And I'm adopting their language and using it against them.
I agree with you to some extent, at least historically speaking. But I don't see that as more of a race thing, rather as in more of an... Because you talk to a white person from Europe, they're very laid back and very,
It's
you know,
changing.
on scattered. Yeah, they're very unscattered.
It's changing.
But Americans
10 years
in
ago, I
general-
would have agreed with you 7 years ago. But here's what changed. Elon spent $44 billion to buy this website called X, and he's teaching the rest of the world, especially if they're white tea, how to act like entitled Americans. So I'll encounter British people,